Okay, so this video is going to be very quick and to the point. I'll be showing you guys my top 5 effects plugins for sound design. So generally, I'm not the kind of producer with thousands of plugins trying out every single new tool on the market, but from experimenting over the years, I found specific plugins that work for me and that I keep going back to when it comes to sound design. So let's get right into it. Okay, so first one on the list is a plugin called Decimort by D16 Group, and this is basically a bit crusher plugin. But it's really more versatile than that. So it's essentially mimicking the artifacts of old analog samplers, which is really cool. So for the sake of this video, I have these chords, and without this plugin on it, it sounds like this. Okay, so now let's add Decimort to it and see what that sounds like. So it comes with a lot of great presets, and that's where I would usually start. I would just browse through the presets and see what works with the sound that you're working with. So let's go through some presets right now. And oftentimes with a bit crusher, you'll have this high frequency noise that you might want to get rid of. So I would just EQ that out like this. And another thing that I like to do is I oftentimes duplicate the sound that I'm working with, and I will have one layer without Decimort and one layer with Decimort, so I can manually mix that into taste. And what I sometimes even do is I will have multiple instances of my sound with Decimort, so I can mess around with the different sounds, different presets, and then when I layer them together, you can get some really cool results. All right, so next one on the list is a plugin called SketchCassette by Aberrant, and I personally love it when organic and digital sounds meet, and this is a great plugin to give some sort of organic warmth and tape feel to something that's too computery or digital sounding. So it's basically a tape emulation plugin, and it's pretty similar to the RC20 plugin that a lot of people know, but I find that on some points this sounds a little bit more real and versatile to me. So what I really like about this plugin is this H knob, which is basically just a filter. And especially these filters over here, you have the flutter and the wow effect, and you have the choice between these two waveforms. And this is basically a noise oscillator. And this is really cool if you really want to mess your sound up, which sounds beautiful to me. You also have these different kinds of cassettes over here, which is kind of cool. It's a very simple plugin, but it does the job and it can really take your sound to the next level. Okay, so next up is a saturation plugin from iZotope called Trash 2. Now this is a pretty well-known plugin, but I still get great sounds out of this, and I think it's one of the most versatile saturation plugins out there. So what makes it so versatile are these modules on the bottom. So obviously you have your saturation module, which is called Trash. It's split up into 2 different stages, so you can parallel saturate your sound. But it also has these filters, dynamics, delays, and this convolve module is really cool too. So this is some sort of reverb, and it mimics the sound and the characteristics of different devices, materials, and textures. You can even run it through different amplifier modelers, I guess. And you can even pick the kind of microphone that you want to mimic. So that's super cool. Another cool thing is this graph. So you can completely customize the order in which you want the modules to be. So it's super interesting to mess around with like reverb running into distortion or filtering pre and post distortion. So you can get some great sounds out of this plugin. All right, so next up is another saturation plugin by FabFilter called Saturn. Now I love everything that FabFilter makes, and this plugin makes it super easy to split your sound up into different frequency bands, and you have these different sorts of saturation over here. Now this is a little more subtle than what Trash 2 is doing, but what I would usually use this for is on sounds like the chords we've been using earlier. you can literally see the frequencies starting to die off after this certain frequency. So it's super easy to enhance and bring up those higher frequencies by just driving them with the right kind of saturation. And it's super easy to boost the gain as well. So this is just a great plugin to enhance and bring out certain frequencies and just give a certain warmth to your sound. All right, so last one on the list is a plugin called Manipulator by Infected Mushrooms. And I would usually use this as a vocoder on my vocals, but it's really cool to use this on synths and melodies and vocal chops as well. So you have this pitch and form inside over here, which is really cool to play around with on synths. And it's basically doing the same thing as Ultra Boy by Soundtoys. Then you have this harmonics or FM kind of synthesis thing over here. It's really cool to play around with and mess up your sound. And then this stereo thing over here is for some reason different than any other stereo plugin I've ever used. For some reason, it sounds much wider and thicker than any other stereo plugin I've used. You can really hear it go super wide, and if you use the detune over here, you kind of get a chorus effect. And another great feature about this plugin is this smear and glide function. So this is super useful on melodies and especially vocal chops. So it doesn't really work on chords, but it's definitely something I mess around with a lot on vocal chops, melodies, and you can get some really cool results with this. All right, so that's it for my top 5 FX plugins for sound design. Maybe I will do them for mixing and mastering plugins as well. So if that's something that you want to see, make sure to comment and subscribe for future videos. And I will see you guys soon. Peace.